and this is the Agegroup Multisport Podcast with me, Richard Conway. This is a platform for Agegroup multisport athletes to showcase their journeys. Welcome along to episode 68 of the Agegroup Multisport Podcast. Thank you once again for taking your time out to give this podcast a listen. Much appreciated. Hope everything's going all right with you guys. All your training's going well. I think on this episode we have our first Welsh guest. I had a quick flick through our previous guests and I don't think we've had anybody from Wales on before, so a nice first there. So our age group athlete today is Andrew Martin, and Andrew comes, as you would expect, being from Wales, from a background of playing rugby as a kid, and also doing some swimming and running, which he was very good at, which I guess stood him in good stead later on in his triathlon career. He explains how he wasn't really that keen in running as a child. He was pretty good at it, so he was encouraged to carry on. And then being asked to do a swim leg of a triathlon relay team, he got the taste for it and decided that he was going to go back the next year and do the whole thing, which is quite a common theme, I think, for people who do get into teams. It's quite a nice, easy, gentle way to get into the whole sport by doing something that you're particularly pretty good at. Gives you that confidence, and I think that was, in Andrew's case, what happened. So he did. He went back the next year. He said he shifted a bit of weight, trained hard, and did really well. And he's not looked back since. So hope you enjoy Andrew's story. That's coming up in a bit. Isn't it funny how some people get the laughs? I've got a bit of a story. Not going to bore you with all the details, and it'll be brief. I was out going for a longish ride last week, and I was about halfway around, and I felt this car slow down behind me, which I thought was a bit odd because there was no oncoming traffic, and then it slowly pulled up by the side of me. The passenger's window was down, and out comes this arm and gives us a push. They both laugh away and then race off in the car, and I was a bit dumbfounded by it all. You know, I wasn't hurt, I didn't fall off my bike or anything, but it was like, how weird, how bizarre, how some people find that thing to be funny. What had happened if I wasn't as proficient on a bike as I am, and it was some older person who was out and they didn't have the stability that I had? You know, it could have been a lot more serious. Anyway, reported it. Unfortunately, I only got the first 3 letters of the registration, and I think I must have, in all goings on, I must have got the wrong of car, because I thought it was a little C1 Citroen. But after reporting it to the police, they searched the database and couldn't come up with a match for that type of car and those first 3 letters. So unfortunately, they get away scot-free. They will be kept an eye on, I was assured by the police, for that type of car. Obviously I knew the colour, it was red, so you know, you never know, I might get lucky and they might find the culprits, because I just don't want it to happen to anybody else. In all my 40 years of cycling, I've never had anything like that happen, and I just find it very bizarre. So just be careful when you're out riding, folks, because there's some unpleasant people about. Well, a podcast I've been introduced to over the last couple of weeks. The first one was I found by listening to a podcast that I always listen to, which is the Triathlete podcast, and they had a couple of guests on who were from a podcast, which is Doctors Running Podcast, and these doctors are into physical therapy. They're orthopedic doctors, and they talk about how to choose your next shoe on this particular podcast, the Triathlete podcast, and the differences in drops and the different forms that you can get for each shoe. And then I went over to their podcast, and I've started listening to what they're all about, and it's interesting to listen to these experts who are actually runners themselves, and they do a lot of reviews on shoes and trainers. And I thought the best piece of advice that I found, they said, what's the best type of shoe for yourself? And basically their answer was the one that you're most comfortable in, which, pretty much sums it up, I think. So have a listen to, both Tri-Dot, because it's a really good podcast, and the Doctors of Running podcast. I'm going to go right back to the beginning and just pick out, as I usually do, the decent episodes. And there was a lot of hoo-ha on social media about a podcast that had been recorded last week on the How They Train podcast, and it featured the Ironman CEO Andrew Messick, and chatter about it on, like I say, social media, on Instagram in particular, about how the CEO Andrew Messick didn't do himself any favours on the podcast when asked some awkward questions, shall we say, and one of them was why that they've split up the Ironman World Championships in two different places. If you're not aware, they both used to be in Kona, and last year they decided to try something new and give the ladies their own day, which was the Thursday, and then the men, as normal, raced on, I think it was the Saturday or the Sunday, but that didn't go down well with the people who were living in Kona, so that wasn't doable again this year. So what they've wanted to do was split the day again, and they've give the women the race over in Kona, and the men are racing in Nice. So yeah, it was an interesting podcast. He didn't come across ever so well. You can see from a business point of view why they've done it, because Ironman want to make as much money as they can. Can't fault them for that, I suppose. But I was just thinking, as far as the World Championship goes, these events that Ironman put on, self-claimed as the World Championship because of the history over in Kona, but they also try and cram in a load of age group athletes in as well, which is fair, because that's what, we as age groupers do at the World and the Europeans as well. We sometimes can race on the same race routes, especially in the finals, the grand finals, as the elite. But I think it's just got too big. So they're going to have another rethink, I think, because I don't think the people who do and partake in Ironman are very happy with the outcome of it all by all accounts. So yeah, interesting podcast. My thoughts were that they should just keep it separate, an elite professional World Championship, and have it as just their race, and that would cut out all this nonsense, really, and it would probably mean more. It's not going to stop people taking part in Ironmans or age group World Championships. I think that's still going to go ahead. But yeah, give that a listen. It's called How They Train podcast. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Watched a little bit of the World Championship cyclocross, and the men's was really exciting. Didn't know who was going to win between Van Aert and Mathieu van der Poel. I won't spoil it if you haven't watched it. Really worth spending 50 minutes of your time to watch these elite cyclists rip up the course, because it was fantastic. And over in the females race was equally as exciting, but it was pretty much decided. Everybody knew who was going to win that one. Fen van Empel came out on top, and well deserved. She did a great race. Nobody can stick with her when she's fit, and she's only 20, so it was a great race. And that's about it for now. Yeah, time for the main event, and hope you enjoyed this one. Really nice to chat to Andrew, really top fella, and we'll see you on the other side.
Hi, Rich.
Hi, how are you doing?
Very good. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Thanks for doing this.
All right, pleasure. Thanks for asking me. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm usually very busy, but I managed to have a couple of slots here and there, and then it's a nice break from the routine.
What is it that you do?
Oh, I'm a dentist, but It's an NHS one, which are rare, but flat out. They put you on these targets you got to do by the start of April. So, yeah, always running behind.
Yeah, can imagine. Whereabouts in Wales here?
South Wales. I'm in Ogmore by Sea. Get to dip in the water and stuff. So
Nice.
pretty pleased with that. Yeah, there's a group of us who get there, but never time for coffee, which is a shame.
No, shame.
Right, I'm Andrew Martin. I'm from South Wales, Ogmore by Sea, and I'm a dentist and an age group triathlete. Think I started triathlon about 2012, but growing up, did a bit of swimming, club level, bit of county level swimming, running as well, bit of cross country, which I hated, but unfortunately was quite good at it. So I ended up doing it more until I gave up when I was at the top of Brecon in some blizzard condition and thought running around in little tiny shorts and a vest wasn't what I wanted to do on a weekend. And then, as being Welsh, I was straight into rugby from about 10 and in love with that, and very difficult decision to stop it eventually at about 28 years of age. So, did a bit of track running, middle distance, and then I ended up doing a bit of sprinting in my late teens alongside the rugby, which I loved, but wasn't quite as good as the middle distance, I don't think. But certainly active. Lived on a BMX, the one with the mag wheels, pretty cool. Only did the one race in that, which was fun, but fell off in one of the jumps. I think some tears came out, and I think that was the end of that one. But so 2012, I was with some antenatal group when my son was born. They were like, "Can you swim?" I was like, "Well, I can." And Blenheim Palace I went to. I did, I thought, I'll get to the other side of this. Surprisingly, it came out, I think, first or second in my wave. There's thousands of people there, though. And I got handed over to my mates, and we completed. We spent the rest of the day drinking beer and watching all these other thousands of people doing the whole thing. So we all felt a bit, I guess there's all shapes and sizes. Yeah, I just did the swim part. Yeah.
Right, okay.
And it was a relay. So it was about, I must have swum for about 10, 11 minutes or whatever it was, which is reasonably quick. So a year. And just watching guiltily on where all shapes and sizes were bombing around, doing all the disciplines, which blew my mind a bit. And then I think there and then we were like, right, we're doing this. We'll give it a year to train for it. And probably 2 stone lighter by the time we started it, maybe 3. Completed it the next year. Yeah.
And did you join the club at that point, or was it just a group of friends?
Trying to think, but it was an interesting one. Yeah, I started swimming a bit, just in a public session. And I met a guy there, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a triathlete." So I asked him about his endeavors, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing a cycling thing over in France. I think it's the Étape. It's called Étape de Tour." And very nice guy called Dave Murray, who will help you with anything. And he turned up at my house a few weeks later with a racing bike, and I was like, "What are you doing, Dave?" And he's like, "Well, you asked me about my racing, so here we go, have a go on this." Obviously toddled off, phoned him about 400 meters up the road to ask him how to change gears. And within a couple of months, he had said, "Oh, I'm going to France in the summer for doing an event. Do you want to come?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." Thinking it was just a sort of beer and social. And it was a thing called La Marmotte, if you've heard of that one. It's I think it's 3,000 or 5,000 meters of climbing, taking in the Glibia, finishing up to House, the Telegraph, the Glandon, which took me 11 hours. And that was 3 stone heavier than I am now. So I said I'm never doing that again. But yeah, it sort of hooked me really. Cool. The running came later. Yeah.
So as far as the club went, you weren't part of the club though?
Yeah, I did later on join Pencoed Triathlon Club.
Right.
Best triathlon club in Pencoed was their banner, so I thought I'd get in there. They had a nice little friendly environment. Did a local triathlon in the Porthcawl Harbour, and did a few swim sessions with them. Laid off the running for a while for various injury reasons. Year or two into triathlon, I realised that I had to actually do some run training. No one likes being passed on the bike and the run, So, the run was had to develop, which developed quite quickly. But as I said, it's balancing injuries, which is, I think that's a common thing.
From your first triathlons, and how did you find out about the age group?
I was on a club ride, and one of the guys had actually won a world sprint title in Vancouver. I think he said it might have been the first one, actually. So I asked him about that. And he said, I said, how hard to get on this Great Britain team? And he said, it's almost impossible. And I was thinking, surely not. And that sort of gripped me, and I think, well, what do I have to actually do to do this? But I gather, it's you apply yourself to anything and you get there. But it was a challenge. Gave me a lot of, enthusiasm to see where I could come. And I think I did one in something being with a G out east somewhere, and to qualify for Kitzbühel. Yeah, enjoyed that. Again, not entirely sure where I was with all the sports, but my swimming seemed to be okay because I did it as a kid. And I ended up leading the race until T2. And then I seemed to watch most of the field go past me. Yeah. And one of the guys I compete against him with went steaming past. I always remember it. And I looked up to him because he had lost I think like 5 stone or something since he started it. And I scraped through on the percentages roll through.
The roll down, yeah.
Yeah, and I was so chuffed. So I eventually went to Kitzbühel, and I think I came 7th in the end of that one. So I was pleased with. But a lot of progress in a short time.
Yeah. And what year was that, Andrew?
I think that was 2014. But saying that, I got a feeling I qualified for it before I managed to slide into the London one, which is that could have been my first one, actually, London. That was an interesting one where I was in the briefing. Any questions? And it'd been there for quite some time, and I wanted to ask how to get off to T1, T2. Anyway, it wasn't enough time for the questions, and I was still, like I said, swimming pretty well, and ended up cycling another 2K somehow into transition after the first lap. So I went from something like the top first, second, third or something to about 45th without actually going anywhere. Finished the race, got a lot of funny looks, but quite a few, one of the few mistakes you make as we,
Oh, absolutely. Everybody makes them.
Oh, helmet on backwards, all that sort of stuff. We've all done it.
Yeah. It's all the rite of passage, isn't it?
Oh, it is. You got to do it on your biggest races, though, really, to remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And you know what? We're not the only one. You still see the likes of the Brownlees still running out of. I don't know whether you saw last year. I think it was Johnny Brownlee running out of. It was the Super League, and he run out of one of the tees, and he still had his helmet on, and he was going in the swim.
Oh yeah. That really slows you down doing front crawl with the helmet on. It's,
not very aero.
And Vincent Louis as well, didn't he? He just went straight through transition to the fence on his bike as well.
Oh, that's right.
Did you see that one?
I did. Yeah, I remember that one. I think he must have thought it was another lap. Is that what?
That was the class. He thought he had another lap and just went into the fence, didn't he? Whilst
they closed the road off, hadn't they?
Yeah. But the barriers across.
That's right. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So we shouldn't really feel bad, should we, as amateurs doing crazy stuff?
Oh yeah. I know exactly. We all do it, don't we?
Yeah. So was that a standard or a sprint that you'd done your first GB racing?
Sprint, yeah. I haven't done any standard ones.
Right.
I'd say they don't suit. Yeah. I've done a few over the years, but I didn't say it suits me. Like I said, I'm always wary about run volume from various injuries. So 5K I can sort of get around okay. Yeah, I think I haven't got the same concentration as a lot of people either. I think 1 hour is long enough. 2 hours I get a bit bored on the bike and even the run. The swimming's pretty boring on 1500. That's a long time, isn't it? It is,
yeah. Yeah, it is for a bull swimmer, isn't it? So a long way that.
Yeah, it is. I do enjoy the draft legal one as well. Doesn't always suit my strengths, but it's really good fun. Really good fun. They're all different as well on each race.
Absolutely, yeah. So what was your next race then after you'd qualified and you'd raced for GB the first time? How did it develop?
Oh yeah, so London Kitzbühel, trying to remember the next one, 15. For anyone can help me out on that one. I know I was off to you suddenly rack them up, don't you? You get really super keen and here, there and everywhere. Certainly went off to 16 I remember Cozumel was one, wasn't it? I went to that one. Fantastic trip. Great experience. Made lots of sort of high energy colleagues, I guess, and teammates, and it was great fun. Bit of a party atmosphere. Ridiculously hot. Did that, I think, if I came right? No, I'm going to say 9th maybe. But that was a dehydration fest where the tides were wrong. They left us out in a little tent for a couple of hours before the race. So I don't think any of us had any moisture left. I think an hour after the race, I don't think I knew what had happened. It was, there were people going into getting drips and all sorts of stuff. But that was a fantastic experience. Loved that. Johnny, whilst I was telling everyone, I felt terrible, you see Johnny falling apart and you're thinking, well, it wasn't that bad. So, I missed the pizzas at the end. That's one bit I regret. Missed the big load of pizzas.
That was great, Bob.
Yeah, I know. That's it. Yeah, I do race for a beer afterwards. I've got to say, doesn't sound exactly pro, but that's what amateurs do, I guess.
So, what's your best race that you've raced?
The best race in triathlon?
Yeah.
Oh, as in like course?
Just generally, what's been your favourite race?
My favourite race. That's a good one. And there's too many to choose from, to be fair. I like that Rotterdam one. Trying to chase Richard Stannard. He got ahead of us all, caught him on the bike. Then there's a group of us attacking each other. And he managed to come away with a win. Came back I think I came 4th. I can't remember, 4th or 5th on that one. That was good fun. Valencia last year, because I won that age group race, so that was a favourite. Strathclyde was good, up and down, and I did the Kazan one in Russia. That was a good old. That would be say one of my favourite ones. For sure, that was a punchy race, and I did actually complete the Blenheim one as a 42-year-old in the elite race in 2018.
Your email, I was going to ask you. How did that come about then?
So I noticed there's a few sort of age group races that have done elite ones before, so I had a little Google or whatever, and they said if you can send us a race and if you can fix the swivel file, then we'll have a look at you. So they gave me a start, and it was a great experience, especially as I think my first one was probably there as within the thousands and struggling to get around at all, with a big fat belly. So that was a fantastic experience. I went backwards pretty quickly, mind, but
how old were the rest of the competitors?
I think they were as old as my trainers, probably. But they'd come back from the Commonwealth Games, a lot of them. And it's not very good at name dropping them, but it was good. The swim was fine. I was up there. The bike got dropped, I think, on the first or second lap going up a hill by tactical errors. Wait for the last group to come through. So there's group 3, I think. And then I think I must have beaten a few people at the end, 2 or 3, but I was back. I was at the back, the old man. But yeah, it was a great experience. It was good fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, age waits for nobody, does it? You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't.
Catches up with us all. So as much as we like to, I think you're best to stick with your own age group.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. They're good fun, aren't they? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah. So have you got anything planned coming up this year?
I only got couple of local races, but I'm having a bit of I'm having a year where I've got to address a few injuries. I might be having to have a foot op again, unfortunately, but I'm still just about running, so I'll see how I get on. I think I'm supposed to be doing where's the World's one? Hamburg. I'm in for that one, but I'll have to decide on that in the next couple of weeks, I think. If not, I will be back because I'll be going up to the 50 age group, I think, in 3 years, but you have to qualify the year before, don't you? So I'll be at certainly full speed ahead next year. This last year has been a bit quiet. Sometimes you get the old, that's the thing as an amateur, you get your, you've got to look at your priorities, haven't you? And sometimes you just can't fit it all in. And some things go on the back burner for a while. So last year was a bit of you got other stuff to do. So we just did the international ones. And found I've got the love for it this year. This year I'm pretty keen and just held back by injuries and things, but getting back into it, still loving it. So,
cool. Yeah. That's good. And you were Welsh champion, is that right?
A Welsh age group, I would have said. A few times, yeah, back in the past. I haven't been to one of those for quite some time, though. I said you get busy, don't you? End up just fitting in the international ones and the qualifiers. But yeah, the Welsh champion ones were in Barry Island, which is a good one, a nice draft legal one. Get a load of fish and chips and a can of beer at the end of it. And there's been ones in Porthcawl as well. So it's a nice little hub down in South Wales on the coast there because you go see swims everywhere. Nice training, everyone knows each other. Little safe base to swim in. And the races are always good fun as well. You've always got a chance to get in wet and it not being called off, depending on which time of the year it is. But yeah, like you say, you can't. We're only amateurs at this. It's not what we do for a living. So life has to take over sometimes, and your body needs a rest as well as you're getting older. So it's not a bad thing. It certainly does. Yeah, you try to resist that, don't you?
Yeah, you do. It just becomes part of your life. It's what you do, isn't it? And
it is.
When you can't train, it's so frustrating.
Oh yeah. If you can't train, it's the worst. But then people say, "Oh, you've got to listen to your body," and you're thinking, if I listen to my body, I'd just be lying down in bed most of the time.
Yeah, you just be on the couch all the time.
I know. But it's strange how those endorphins sort of set you off, isn't it? And you start doing something, you come back pretty pumped, don't you? And full of energy. Like I'm like walking a puppy or something. I need to go out and do something every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you seem to be saying that swimming's your favourite part of triathlon. Was that be right or?
I would say I think I'd probably say it's my best part as an age group athlete. It's always been a thing that's been there for me through thick and thin, various broken bones and things. And it's always been there, always rehabbed through it. But I do actually enjoy the running. It's just I'm more inconsistent in that. So it's harder work. It's always get back to it, get to a decent standard, injury, and it rolls around like that. The biking, I do love. It's a bit, it's nice where I live because you can get out in the countryside, but it's, you get a bit nervous sometimes on the bike, so I don't always enjoy the biking as much as I should, unless you go out on a little holiday somewhere and safer lanes. I'd probably say the running, weirdly, which if anyone knows me and hears that, will laugh as I will stop moaning about that. Yeah.
Just get over it.
I know. Yeah.
So what does a week of training, when you are training and you're fully fit, what does a week of training look like?
Oh, it sounds pretty good. I'll get 3 morning swims in for an hour. Do that with a masters. Actually, I've just changed clubs, but I do that with a sort of a swimming club in the morning, 1 hour each. Probably about 3 runs if I can. Try to get some kind of interval in. With a local club. Riding, struggling at the moment to get the hours in with the dark, and trying to organise one of those turbo bikes actually. And but in the summer, bit of a chain gang goes on a Tuesday or Wednesday. Try to grab a couple of hours on the weekend. I don't do as much as I should, but it's And in the summer, getting to sea with mates, that's a good one. I always love that. That's about it. Oh, a bit of strength and conditioning, like a good over 40.
All right, yeah. I was going to ask you if you have any strength and conditioning. It's important, isn't it? But it's the thing that gets overlooked by most of us. Yeah,
I do think it helps prevent injuries, or so I think, when I'm doing it properly. It's, I don't know whether I'm getting more run hardened or whether the strength and conditioning's helping it. But yeah, the injuries seem to be okay. It's, definitely do one of those a week. Yeah. Not a big fan, though.
You're not a big fan?
Not a big fan, yes. Yeah. It's, I was telling I got a trainer that does it, actually. That's the only way I'd go. I think I wouldn't go otherwise. But I'm always said, don't make me too big. I'm slow enough at running as it is. And you do too much cardio, Andrew. Too much cardio.
Yeah, that's what he says. So, people think if you hit the gym, that you're going to instantly put on muscle on. You've got to think about it logically and realistically, that actually you're strengthening your muscles and your tendons and your joints, and that's all you're doing really. You're not going in there to put any muscle on or any weight. So if you're doing it right, that is. Yeah,
that's it. Probably should do 2, but one's enough.
Well, one's a start.
A start, that's more like it. Yeah, that's a start. Give me a few years to think about a second.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like the consistency of it and doing it all year round.
Oh,
if you do that, then it just becomes part of your training, like the swimming and the biking and the running. So
it is, yeah. It's the consistency, isn't it? We always say.
Well, thanks for that. Few fast round questions now that I always ask people towards the end. What's your favourite bit of kit?
Right. Now, this is one you probably won't have heard before. I know you're expecting me to say the bike, but I'm not. I'm going to go for paddles. Swimming paddles. No particular reason why, apart from it just makes me feel sort of smoother, and it's a bit of a dodge and a bit of a cheat. When I'm tired, I put them on. It's it just gives you the catch back, doesn't it? So there you go. It's 2 yellow paddles. Can't go wrong with those.
Yeah, we like that answer. Never had that before, like I said. That was a good one. What resources do you use? It could be books, videos.
I like to listen to my podcasts, particularly this one, obviously Creeping, and podcasts mostly. I did have a coach for quite a few years. That was the other resources. Pretty much podcasts that. Used to have the old Triathlon&Duathlon as a Christmas present from my mother-in-law. That had a few bits of information on it. I always find I look too many resources, and I just keep buying more and more kit. But I've got over that now. I've got over that now and realised I just got to put the work in.
Yeah, that's it. So what happened to the coach then? Was it not working for you when you had the coach?
Yeah, it was. It was going well, and I would say, I did the running with the Athletics Club. I like. You try to keep that on, more occasional, so I didn't injure myself. Swim with the club, it was good, but it was nice to have to report back that I'd done each. It was accountability, I suppose. Report back and say, I've completed this. Look at my numbers and that sort of thing. And it was Mark Whittle actually, and he was used to try to keep me injury free, because I think without him, I was just going off and doing extra training and junk miles and things like that. So, but yeah, if I finished off just because I was in between moving a life thing, and he put a program. I said, look, I can't be in. I don't know where I'm going to be and which day, and whether I can get my equipment, whether I got my bike with me, and it just got a bit hard work. And that was just somewhere around COVID. and the pools weren't open, and I just sort of put it on pause. And then I did okay in Valencia, which was possibly still down to his previous coaching. I'd say probably was. And I just haven't picked it up yet. I'm going to sort of the stable home life. I think to need to know where I am and what I'm doing. And it's routine, and it's hard to be coached if you're everywhere. I think probably would go back again, and it is good. It's and you go. That was some great advice of your coach. Now we talk about resources. Someone who knows what they're doing is always good to ask. Otherwise, there's too much information out there. You can grab all the wrong stuff, can't you? And it's the way to do it. I think is ask someone who knows, and maybe not ask too many questions from too many different people, because it's there's a lot of contradiction out there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like you said in there, it's the accountability as well, isn't it? You know, that you've got somebody that's going to make you actually look at actually what you're doing and what you're not doing. Make sure you're hitting all the target sessions. So, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's right.
What advice would you give to anyone starting out in triathlon?
I would give the advice of give it a go. We never take our own advice, but I'd probably start gently and build up. I'd certainly always say join a club, or at least pal up with some others that are doing the same sort of target and training. And part of the fun is experiencing these new things of getting your wetsuit in, jumping just through a cold lake, and riding together and running together. It's all it's like a community thing, isn't it? And enjoy it really. The good thing is, even if you get to the age group level, which is certainly not impossible, as I said at the start, or my friend said at the start, it's you can do whatever you put your mind to. You do get to travel around abroad and in this country and see some beautiful places. So I'd say get out there, keep going, and enjoy the camaraderie. So that's what. Never be afraid to try anything new either. So get yourself in a river or lake or whatever.
And finally, what are your short and your long-term goals?
Oh, my short and long-term goals. Short is just trying to get myself injury-free, which may or may not be an operation this year. Long-term is to stay healthy and enjoy my triathlon and keep racing for many years. I haven't got any particular aspirations of being an Ironman or anything like that. I'm just quite happy enjoying bombing around the track with loads of other like-minded people on bikes, and I love it. Yeah, it's keep on doing what I'm doing, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
As long as possible. Cool. 75 years age group. That's what I want to do.
That would be good. I think that's when you see these guys at that age, isn't it? It's like
it's amazing.
They're incredible. Really are incredible.
They are incredible.
What you aspire to do, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Who would I know that in your age group that you race with?
Donald,
you know Donald well.
I did, yeah. So I know a lot about Donald, and I enjoyed the one about Matt Barnes as well, because he's my age group. They sort of creep in as I'm edging towards the other end. So it's interesting to see how Matt was an amazing runner, which puts it all in perspective, because like this guy is quick on 2 feet. But it's amazing seeing all these other guys that have they seem to be very successful in life as well, and they obviously feel very driven, and they concentrate on something and they get back what they put in. And there's some good stories out there. I'm still going through the podcast now, actually, just enjoying them on a run, and thinking, wow, that guy's been in the army, and this one's done this, and this one's done this sport. It's incredible, really.
Yeah.
And overcoming the adversity bit, where you got people with health issues, and they've overcome them and things through triathlon, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So those are the two guys. And Gary Walker, you must have heard of. He's in every single race in every country. He's actually the guy I said that in that first trial. The guy came steaming past me, and I was like, "This guy is good." And he told me how he started on with the, losing a few stone or whatever through a night out in the pub saying, I can get in the Great Britain team, and they called him out on it, and off he went, lost a load of stone and got in.
And did it.
Which is incredible as well. Yeah. So,
some great stories. Yeah. That's why I like doing this podcast, because I've met some great people with some fantastic stories, and you're right, a lot of them are really successful in their careers, and you wonder how they fit it in, to be honest, how they get to where they've got to, as well as having families and kids and, full-time careers, and yet they do all this training, and it's like, wow. Thanks very much for taking your time out.
Yeah, pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
Really enjoyed it.
Good luck with everything. I hope your injury sorted itself out without an operation, and you get to race over in Hamburg.
Yeah, thanks very much. I look forward to doing that. That'll be great fun. So fingers crossed.
Hopefully we might catch up at some point at a race in the future.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's
That'd be nice.
Yeah. That'd be good, Rich. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Well, all the best. I'll let you get on with your evening. And thanks once again for coming on.
Fantastic. Thanks, Rich.
Cheers, Andrew.
Easy. Bye.
Thanks once again to Andrew. Great story. And I thought it was quite refreshing that he said that his long-term goals were to stay injury-free and just keep racing in the format that he enjoys the most, which is the short track. So yeah, that was quite nice to hear. To do it as long as he possibly can. And sorry for the poor sound quality on my half. Fortunately, Andrew's was all good, which was the main thing. But I don't know what's happened to my microphone during that interview. It was terrible. So I really, really do apologise for that. Once again, good luck with Andrew and his injury, and I hope he doesn't have to have his operation and he can manage to race in Hamburg. So all the best. And that's about it for this episode. If you'd like to come on the podcast and you're an age grouper, just drop us a line or get in touch via social media. We're always looking for guests, and everybody's got a great story, so don't ever think that your story isn't worthy of coming on. So just, get in touch via our email, which is the Agegroup Multisport Podcast @gmail.com. Our social media platforms are as follows. Instagram is amp_1967. Facebook is ampgb. Twitter is the Agegroup Multisport Podcast. We have our own website, which is agegroupmultisportpodcast.buzzsprout.com, and you can find all the previous episodes on there if you don't usually use a platform like Spotify or Apple Podcast. And if you do use those podcast platforms and you've really enjoyed this episode or any of the others, please leave us a rating. Really does help us to get our podcast out there to more like-minded people. And if you want to get in touch, you can DM us on any of those social medias. And if you want to come on the podcast, please get in touch again, social media or on email. So once again, thank you for taking the time out to listen. Until next time, stay safe, keep training, and love the process.